Our representative from PD? Which?
Public defender.
Public Defender's Office, okay. All right, all right. Thank you, sir, for coming. Please just introduce yourself for members of council, and this is the Public Defender's Office.
Yes, ma'am. Chairperson, my name is Eddie Donald. I am the Chief Public Defender for the 3rd Judicial Circuit. That means Williamsburg, Lee County, Clarendon County, and Sumter County. I wanted to, first of all, let me say this. I've already submitted my budget request, and I'm not asking for any more money this year. So I just wanted to let you know that. So I don't want to put you in a position having to tell me no when I already know there's not any money to go around. But I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last year. So I wanted to come and introduce myself. As I said, my name's Eddie Donald. I've been practicing law with and against Mr. Floyd down there on the end from time to time for 25 years. I got elected I took office last January as the Chief Public Defender, taking over for Jack Howe. Now that I've told you I'm not asking for an increase in money, let me tell you why I'm here other than the just to introduce myself to those who don't know me. If I could, what's the procedure for handing this up? Can I hand it up individually? Mm-hmm. Okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 9 copies.
Okay.
I'll just give you on 9. Anybody wants an extra copy can have it. Now, what I'm handing y'all is, that's only the first page of the legislation that actually created the Public Defenders Association. And the purpose of me handing that to you is so that you can see in all the whereases, which is the intention of the legislation, was to create parity between the public defender's offices and the solicitor's offices. Parity, not necessarily in staff, because we don't need as much staff as the solicitor's office does, but parity in pay, parity in resources for the resources that we do have that we need in order to adequately represent the indigent of Williamsburg County. Now, in the past couple of months, I've lost a public defender who had served wonderfully, Doward Harvin, had done a great job for us for almost 1 month shy of 10 years. Problem is that the funding that we get, and we get funding from the state and from the county. Right now, we're getting funded right at about $42,000 from Williamsburg County. I'm afraid that that's not going to be adequate to replace somebody of Doward's caliber. So we're down a person. I'm looking for persons. I've already started doing interviews of persons to replace his position, but I'm going to have a hard time replacing Doward. As I said, he was here for 10 years. He was making basically the same pay, and now I got to try to find somebody on what we paid somebody 10 years ago to do the same job. Now, he was able to make a little bit more over time because a couple of years ago, thank you, you gave us some extra money, but we had to take over municipal court, and that's what that was for. The situation simply is that when a person's arrested, they go to the county jail. And if they're indigent, they stay there until a bondsman lets them out. And they end up having to be tried at some point and our law requires that they're represented by a public defender. And so it's, a lot of people like to not think about the public defender's office because it's not glamorous, it's not pretty, and it's not like the police. Well, we're out fighting crime, we need to help you fight crime because that's one of our goals. But what you have to remember is a person, that crime, even when it's committed, that person cannot be adjudicated until they have had the services of a public defender. That's just simply the law. They're going to sit, if they're denied bond, they're going to sit in the county jail at the county's expense until a public defender is representing them. That's just simply the law. And so we need to be able to hire adequate people, hire adequate folks, competent folks who can adjudicate them through the system as fast as possible because that takes them off the county payroll out to the jail. Now, I can tell you we have, over the past year, in all of our counties, we've worked hard to try to save money everywhere that we can. We've implemented video systems that have allowed bond hearings to continue. We did it much more so in Sumter County than in any other county, where we actually had to go out and purchase the equipment with which to do the video conferencing. y'all have the influence of Judge Newman over here, so he was much more proactive in getting it to activate in Williamsburg County. But we were willing, and we have provided equipment and the training to get that done so far and to help alleviate some of that cost on the county. Then y'all know what it is to leave somebody out in the county jail. Not just in, you have to feed them and house them and provide facilities and the security that it requires to have somebody out there. And that's pretty much what I wanted to tell y'all this morning, and just say, hey, and answer any questions y'all might have for me with regard to my role as Chief Public Defender. So I'll turn it back over to y'all, see if y'all have any questions.
Members of council?
Mr. Donald, it's good to see you this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
I've had the pleasure of practicing with Eddie for 21 years. He does a very good job in the job that he's doing now, but did a good job in the private sector as well. But what I'm hearing you say, Mr. Donald, and I understand completely, it's $42,000 salary, but in essence, if we can increase that, you're spending money to save money, because in short, the quicker you adjudicate someone, the quicker you get them out of jail, the less risk you have of having to provide medical coverage for them, the less risk of things happening. So in essence, you're spending good money to make money is what you're telling us. And so I perfectly understand what you're asking, and I'll see to it. My colleagues and I will definitely look into that and see what we can do to help you.
I appreciate that, Mr. Floyd, and you're exactly right. That is what I'm saying. I'm trying to spend money because it'll save money on the back end. We've had, for the last several years, 10 years ago, Williamsburg County lost a full-time public defender, and we had to go to 2 part-time public defenders, which is, we have Kim Hodge now, and we just lost Doward. So we're looking at replacing Doward with somebody part-time. What we really need is another full-time person in Williamsburg so that we can deal with getting them out of jail as fast as we possibly can and adjudicate. Not everybody can get out. Not everybody belongs out, but they still get a public defender if they're indigent, and their case can't be handled until that public defender is representing them on the case. So you're exactly right with what I'm saying. I will tell you, next year I do plan to come back and ask for an increase, which is part of why I'm here now. I don't, after everything I've said, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but I did want to come and at least let you know.
But even if they don't get out, their case is adjudicated quicker. I mean, they get to court, they either get tried, do a guilty plea, and they're in the care and custody of SCDC at that time, and not the county jail.
That's exactly
so
right.
Either way, it speeds up the process. It saves the county money.
That's right. Even folks who never get out of jail from the date of their arrest, they're going to be housed somewhere. A public defender can get them housed in Columbia faster than housed in Richland and then housed in Williamsburg. So,
Any other questions by members of council?
well,
Thank
y'all
you,
for
and
your
it's great to
time,
meet you,
and
sir.
We'll see you again sometime later on.
All right, thank you.
I do, yes.
Also, I brought y'all each a little guy. Oh, let me go over here. Come on, let's go inside. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay.
Did you say 9?
Yeah.
I believe so. If not, I have more, so,
Miller? She brought some goodies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who them? Some.
You know what, Liz? Liz. There you go. We need to give council a copy of what the appropriations are. You all have a copy of the appropriations?
current appropriations?
Do y'all mind if I take my mask down when I talk in here? Okay. Thank you.
No one has a copy of appropriations in their packets, the current appropriations.
No, they don't have it yet, but I'll get it to you. Here you go.
She probably got it, I think. Liz,
Here you go. She brought you some
copy of the
goodies.
current appropriations.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Got a
ma'am.
copy of the current appropriations.
Here you go, Pam.
So council can see it.
Thank you, ma'am.
For appropriation request. Just what they're currently, funded at. Some of them are, they want, they want to know where what is currently funded. While you're looking for that, good morning, ma'am. Can you please introduce yourself to members of council?
Yes, I'm Beth Williamson, and I'm the Executive Director of PD Tourism. And PD Tourism consists of 7 counties, which is Darlington, Dillon, Florence, Marion, Marlborough, and Williamsburg counties. We are located in the farmers market, at the PD State Farmers Market and the Log Cabin, and we have a section just for the PD region of South Carolina with different brochures in there on the PD region. We have state maps. We have a region for, a section for the state of South Carolina. And we have a coloring area. We have a front porch with rocking chairs on it to welcome our visitors that come in to try to guide them out into our region. What we are finding right now with the whole COVID, everything going on, travel certainly has slowed down, but we're also finding that people that are coming into our Welcome Center are wanting to travel in our local areas. And I don't know if y'all agree, but I think there's a much prettier route to Charleston, South Carolina than I-95 and I-26, and that is through Williamsburg County. And attached to what I did give y'all is we're doing a rack card. These are the 3 that have been completed, but that is the Williamsburg rack card is getting ready to go to print right now. We just thought it would be helpful to have that to try to guide people through this area and down to Charleston, because people will never stop going to Charleston, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so we're trying to get them out into our rural areas. I have just recently attended the Governor's Conference on Travel and Tourism, and we all believe in the whole tourism industry that it is going to take a little while for things to pick back up, but tourism is changing, and I know that we all take for granted, the ones of us who have grown up in rural South Carolina, which I did on a farm, we take for granted crops growing. But it is amazing the people that walk into our office and want to see crops growing and ride through the country instead of going down 95 and 26 and I-20. I know I'm that way. I love back roads. I'd much rather go a back road. But anyway, I appreciate everything that y'all have done for us in the past, and I hope we can continue to get some support. I know things have really changed and are tight, but any support we can get and anything we can do for y'all, please contact us. We are there to help. Any ideas that you have, and if you see anything that might not be on that rack card and that you think is really worth our visitors seeing, please let me know, and because it hasn't gone to print. That's what's up to go to print, and I can let it go in today or anytime it's ready to go. But if y'all think of something else, please let me know, and we'll get it on there. And thank y'all very much for your time and for what y'all do.
Thank you. Their current appropriation that was approved back in the 2018-2019 budget season was $3,000 a year.
How much was that?
$3,000 a year. I'm getting you all a printout of this. Any questions for Ms. Williamson?
Yes, I have a question for Ms. Williamson. You said black card, is that what you said? Is this what you're referring to?
A rack card, I'm sorry.
Rack card, okay.
And this is what they'll end up being, with some pictures, those pictures on the front, and then this. And it's just easier for us to be, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's easier for us to be able to hand these to someone that is going to Charleston, that we know could be going through Williamsburg County. You know, you're not going to go through Lee County if you're in Florence. to get to Charleston. And so we can just hand that Williamsburg County card out and say, here's some ideas of what you can do. We are also, I will say this, updating our website as we speak, and we're doing itineraries on it to guide our visitors through our different counties. So in Williamsburg County, we will have different spots, and it guides them through. We'll have a map. So we've kind of felt, we've stayed away from that for the last few years, but things are going more and more social media. It's hard for some of us older people to do it, but that is the way it's all changing and happening, so.
Okay, and so if there are recommendations for this, we just,
No, that is what we thought was important in Williamsburg County, in places for people to visit. If you know of anything else that you would like added to that card, we can add. And also, I thought at the bottom of each card is when our crops are growing and when they're planted and when they're harvested and that type thing.
okay, so we would just make those recommendations to you? If we have some other things in the county that we think may be worthy of travelers taking a look at?
Please.
Okay.
And yeah, and if, as soon as possible, if you could,
Okay.
because we are, I mean, like I said, it is ready to go to print right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. I found what you said is very true. I've seen people stop along the roads and go into cotton fields and pick cotton. And sometime I've even gone over and asked a few, I said, why are y'all doing this? They said, we're from Philly. We've never seen cotton growing like this. And they saw some tobacco plants, a young tobacco plant. And one lady thought those were collard greens. She's never seen tobacco actually growing in a field. So I think this is a great idea. But my only concern, what modes of advertising you plan to employ to get the word massively out to the people?
Well, the state of South Carolina, Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, they have a website. We also have a website. We have Facebook and we have Instagram. And if you're on Facebook and if you go on PD Tourism's page, we promote something in each one of our counties once or twice a week. Not necessarily events, but attractions to try to get everybody coming in. So right now it is website, Instagram, and Facebook. And Facebook, we're getting, our numbers coming back from Facebook are very high. And believe it or not, it's people mostly people of the ages from 55 to 65. It seems that's who's
Right.
really looking into this.
Okay.
And getting back to crops, they don't know that peanuts grow underground either. But thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
The
Yes.
current appropriation for PD tourism is $750. They're asking for an increase of $2,750.
I figured it wasn't much.
Their original appropriation minus the 15% that you took from them was $3,000. Or not that you took from them, but that we reduced the budgets by was $3,000.
Yeah. But
So they're
this is-
asking to be restored,
Okay.
I think.
That would be
You mean the 18-19
Right.
funding level
Mm-hmm.
was $3,000?
Okay. But their last year's, or for the continuing resolution,
It's $750.
is $750.
anything is appreciated. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, or afternoon. Well, no, it's still good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Members of council, we have our consolidated Building, Grounds, and Recreation Department Director, Ms. Rouse.
Let them know it's on there.
Huh?
Let them know it's on there.
Okay, it's in her packet?
Yeah, they got it.
Okay, her budget is in the packet already. All right, Ms. Rouse, you're up.
So they have the slip on it.
It's got a clip on it.
Tammy, they have that.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Not that side. Underneath the other side.
I got you right here.
Good morning again. You all have the 6 different budgets, I believe, in front of you. Before I guess we go through each budget, for the most part, the reflections of each budget request for increase is more so in the areas of janitorial supplies and contractual services. Prior to the merging and getting the budget for Department of Social Services and the Health Department, we were already using the allotted amount for contractual services. And the contractual services basically reflect fire security, the alarm system itself, pest controls, and some of the buildings that have elevators. And-
Hold on for 1 second.
Which budget are you on?
I can go back.
He was finishing up with the health department.
That's it. So she's starting with the health department.
Mm-hmm. What's your second one? Go ahead, I think everybody's,
Everybody's?
I think,
Second one is social services.
Right, okay. So both of those budgets basically reflect an increase in the janitorial services and the contractual services. And obviously with this past year dealing with COVID, janitorial services is definitely a A1 priority. So I am requesting that we consider more funding in that area for supplies. And as I was mentioning with contractual services, fire security, alarm security, pest control, and some of the buildings that have elevator services, we really can't project how much those costs are going to be, because ideally enough, they fluctuate from time to time. But what I did, obviously you've seen the little yellows, kind of did my own notes as to what it looked like as of February 2021, and then kind of divided that in the 8-month cycle from July of the start of the fiscal year up until February, and kind of gave me what we would need to finish out this year. And all of those amounts are estimated amounts, but obviously you will see some of them ran over, and or by the time we got to January, we had already exhausted what was allotted for that particular line item. So that's basically for those two. Chavis budget, and I guess if it's okay, I'll go through them and then we can come back for questions. Is that okay?
yes,
Okay. So for Chavis budget, basically the same thing, janitorial supplies. I am asking for consideration of a budget increase to the line item for buildings repairs. And in keeping in mind with that building too, the project for alcohol and drug that is going on down there, and eventually the Chavis Wellness Center. So the services, the electricity, the phone services, all of that, at some point, we'll see an increase. So some of this is FYI information, but just so you all be prepared that at some point, there will be an increase to these line items. I just want to make sure we all are on the same page and aware of it once it reflects the budget. Also down there, you'll probably see a note for part-time. I'm not actually sure when we're going to open back up for services, but we will need a part-time person to operate the gymnasium down there. The J.J. Mitchell budget, like I say, basically the same request for janitorial supplies and for us to really look at the contractual services. Right now, we are having some issues with the HVAC system down there. So I know at some point that is going to be something that we're going to have to come before council to ask for assistance whenever it gets to its last leg. So I'm just letting you all know so you'll be aware of it when it does happen. Buildings and grounds. And obviously, this is the area that I kind of looked at from January until now. We cover a lot of departments and or offices in the county with just buildings and grounds itself, even as we merged. And it's never enough money to go around to everybody requests. But right now, I can certainly say the Alex Chapman Complex building is a must. We got to do something with that. For the livelihood of the people that are working in that building, for the citizens that are coming in and out. That building, when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. You can look from the outside of it, how the windows look. There's an old wooded windows. And when it rains, they either got a bucket up at the window or something on the floor. So you know if the rain is coming in the building, under the carpet, we know what we're facing under there. It's a possible mildew is going on somewhere. So I'm asking, you may see an increase in there to at least let's get started to repair some of these windows. We can't do all, let's find it in phases to do a phase 1 or phase 2, but we gotta do something to that building. For one, the citizens that are coming in them and the people that has to work in those buildings. If possible, we'd definitely like to go with more vinyl type windows, because at least when you're washing the windows or doing any work to them, the paint doesn't come off as quicker than it would replacing the wood one that's already there. And adjoining to the Alex Chapman, you know, that's the Clemson Extension and the Veterans Affairs as well. And even with that, Clemson Extension is using gas. So that's something else we can consider to maybe look at a unit, and that may potentially long-term save some costs on that end. Also in this, with the Alex Chapman, and like I said, this is a different, but I really want us to consider when we are renting these facilities, everything comes with a cost, but we gotta find a point where we can do some type of renovations. Definitely to the Alex Chapman, the auditorium itself. So just kind of putting that out there so that we can at least have that as some type of consideration as well. I'm not sure where we at for buildings and grounds as we this year and even last year, we've utilized a lot in vehicle repairs and maintenance. We still are. Prior to me coming over here, another vehicle stopped on us, and we're just, we got, majority of our vehicles are some older vehicles. And one, right now, the one that we utilize the most for our grounds, for grass season, is out of operation. So I'm not sure where we are as far as the building side of things, because again, I know this is a merger, so I'm not sure where their vehicles were at on the list and or where we fall at, but we definitely need some help with vehicles. Recreation sides, obviously this past year has definitely been a damper for us in regards to programs, and ideally enough for the citizens that have utilized our buildings for rentals. So I'm not really sure where we are with opening back up. However, when we do, we're in a different times now. So where we only had 2 people for programs, we're gonna need some more. I mean, we always needed more hands, obviously, but just the thought of what we're gonna have to deal with to open back up for program side of things, events, and/or when it's time for rentals, we're gonna definitely have to give some type of consideration for those areas. Like I say, I'm not sure as to where or when, but whenever the time comes, I would really like for us to kind of make sure we have something in place. Right now, our programs people that we have are utilizing posting stuff virtually online, and that's been going okay. However, you know, softwares that we can take more advantage of, it's a cost to that as well. So if that's the way of us doing that for a little while longer, that's another consideration for us to be able to buy into some of the online softwares. Free is good, and we are utilizing as much free ones that we can, but we also know with free that some of them have slight restrictions to them. And as always, I know I ask, even if we can't get, but the staff has definitely, I would say, been around the clock this year with dealing with COVID and assuring that the buildings are being kept up as much as it can, keep clean as much as they can. So if they ever thought of an increase, I'm sure they would certainly appreciate that as well. So I guess, I know that's a lot, 6 budgets. But, and I'll also add too that even with this merge, obviously we took on the recycling centers. And with the merge, it's going okay. I can't say it's great because, I mean, it's only been 3 months, but for the most part, it's going okay. But we really just didn't have an added on with staff. We had an added on for bringing people from the various departments that we merged from, but we didn't came with a lot of equipment, so we're still limited. You can definitely use a little bit more maintenance people and 1 or 2 custodians, because obviously we're picking up the fire department, and if you've been in there yet, that's not a small building. So please, if whatever you all can be considerate of, I'm sure myself and the staff would certainly appreciate it. So I'm sure you have questions, so I'm open.
Yeah, Turquoise, I have a couple of questions. I noticed you said that the building, the Alice Chapman building, is in dire need of repair, and you spoke of a leakage. Is the actual building itself leaking, or around the windows are leaking?
The windows.
So the building itself is good? Because I thought we had re-roofed that building not long ago.
Yes, but it's more so the windows. So ideally, if the water is coming in, the
Right.
carpet and everything else on the floor is, you know.
Yeah, but it's not roof.
No, sir.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
It's the windows.
Okay, now, my last question is this. It's unrelated to that, but the situation with the county building rental, that's now under the county auspices, or have we got that under control yet? With the rental of the buildings, you know how we had these various buildings, and they were being rented, and we knew nothing about them. We said we were gonna get it all back under the auspices of the county, so we would have control of that.
Right, so
Have we done that yet?
So we came before you all, I think it was you and Mr. Floyd, some point last year before as a discussion for
Right.
those things. And I think it was supposed to come to the full council. So I think we are slightly needing to put that back on the table so that everyone can give their input on that.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
because that would be a good source of revenue, because we lost so much money
We have, and
by doing it that way.
And I'm glad you made that point. So also with the contractual services, so you learn something new when you merge. But the community buildings that are attached to the fire station, which is 3 of them, Central, Trio, and Bloomenville, which was 3 of them that were
Right.
out there, they need some work. I don't know if any of you been in them, but they need some work. I wouldn't dare want to send people in there with the liability that's going to come behind them. Obviously, the outside, they can use a paint job, but some of them, the ceilings are falling and the floors are in dire need. So we'll see an increase with that, because from my understanding, the gas bills and some other bills that were being billed to the fire department, obviously, I guess they should have been coming under us.
Right.
So we are where we are. I mean, we just got to fix it, put something in place for it, so,
Okay.
yeah. I
Thank
mean, it's
you.
not a bad place, let me make sure that's clear, but I just think we got to make sure we
Right.
all are on the same page, so, like you say, everything comes under the county, we see our benefit from
Right.
it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ralph.
Any other questions?
Well, I'd just like to have a comment, and I do congratulate you on the work that you've done around the parks, certainly in District 3, and you're doing a tremendous job. And I understand that some of these buildings, I know the Trio building, I walked through there, and it needs some serious work and painting and stuff like that. So if there's anything that I can do that you need me personally, except open up my wallet, then
Oh.
just please let me know. And thank you.
You know, everything's for the love of money, so. Any other questions?
Also to add, the buildings that are brand new, that we got maybe over the last 5 years, all of those facilities really need a paint job. That's the problem that we have now, is the fact that we build them and we don't do anything else to continue to maintain them. So just like our floors in the PSA building, we need to get a hold of those things. The carpets need to either come up out of some of the facilities, some of the offices, and be replaced. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into routine maintenance so that we don't have the issues that we have now with bad windows, et cetera. So. Any other questions, members of council? Hearing none. Thank you,
Thank you
Director
all.
Rouse.
Thank you, Ms. Riley.